She cleaned his offices for 3 years, wiped down his conference tables, emptied his trash. He never looked at her twice. But tonight, while billion-dollar contracts sat ready to sign, she lifted a metal pole and destroyed everything. The investors screamed, the security moved, and then a hidden file went live. What they didn't know, she wasn't there to ruin him. She was there to stop someone else from killing him. If you're ready to enjoy this story, click that subscribe button, like this video, and comment where you're watching from. Your support helps us bring more wonderful stories, and trust me, you won't want to miss them. Now, let's get into the story. The conference room smelled like expensive cologne and ambition. Shim Won-hee stood at the head of the table, mid-30s, dark tailored suit that probably cost more than May's annual salary, silver cufflinks catching the light. His face, carved marble, controlled, unreadable. He'd built an empire on precision, started with protection rackets, underground logistics, the kind of operations that left no paper trail and no witnesses. Now, he was moving into surveillance tech, predictive algorithms, digital leverage that could bend politicians and corporations without them even knowing they were being bent. This deal would make him untouchable. The tattoo on his inner wrist, a black tiger in traditional Korean ink, barely visible beneath his cuff, symbol of a man who'd clawed his way up from nothing and refused to ever fall back down. He spoke rarely, moved deliberately, commanded rooms without raising his voice. 3 years ago, someone tried to challenge his authority. That person's name became a cautionary tale whispered in back alleys. "Gentlemen," Shim said, his voice carrying that particular flatness of absolute control. "Once I sign, this becomes the most secure data operation in the Midwest." His hand moved toward the laptop. "Excuse me, sir. Sparkling or still water?" May Shannon appeared beside the table, holding a silver tray. Late 20s, natural hair pulled back under her work headband, dark eyes, steady. The uniform, black dress, white apron, sensible shoes, designed to make her disappear into the background. And it worked, most days. "Still," Shim said without looking at her. "Leave the bottle." "Of course." She set the bottle down, movements efficient, practiced. But her gaze lingered, just a fraction too long on the presentation screen behind him, on the logo in the corner of his slide deck. She recognized it. Shim's eyes flicked toward her. Assessment, calculation. She was cleaning staff, contract worker, background scenery in a room full of power players. But something shifted. A hesitation in her step, the way her shoulders tensed when she glanced at the laptop screen. May returned to the glass wall, metal cleaning pole in hand, wiping down surfaces that were already spotless. Her breathing, too controlled, like someone forcing calm over rising adrenaline. Across the room, an investor laughed. Contracts were passed around for final review, champagne glasses clinked. Shim reached for the laptop again. May's grip tightened on the metal pole. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but her hands didn't shake. 15 years of waiting, 15 years of working invisible jobs in buildings owned by shell corporations, watching, learning security patterns, collecting fragments of evidence. Tonight, she'd seen the final piece. The logo on that screen belonged to the same data network that erased her brother, and buried in the contract Shim was about to sign, a clause that would hand his entire empire to a Russian syndicate within 6 months. He didn't see it, but she did. Shim's finger hovered over the digital signature pad. May moved. 1 second. That's all it took. May lifted the metal pole and swung. Crack! The sound cut through the room like a gunshot. Shim's laptop exploded, sparks shooting across the obsidian table like tiny fireworks. The screen shattered into a spiderweb of glass and circuitry. For a moment, nobody moved. Just shock. Then, chaos. "What the hell?" An investor jumped back, champagne glass flying from his hand, amber liquid spraying across contracts worth millions. Papers scattered into the air like startled birds. Someone screamed. Another dove under the table, which, honestly, not the worst survival instinct. Shim staggered backward, eyes wide, hand still frozen in midair where the laptop used to be. His face? Pure disbelief, like someone just told him gravity stopped working. Security moved fast. 2 guards grabbed May's arms, yanking her back, the metal pole clattering to the floor. "Don't move! Hands behind your head!" May didn't resist, didn't fight. She just stood there, breathing steady, eyes locked on Shim. "You insane?" a tech broker shouted, scrambling to gather scattered documents. "Do you have any idea what you just—" Shim raised his hand. One gesture. Silence. The room went still, like someone hit pause on reality. Every eye turned to him. His jaw clenched, that marble expression cracking just slightly, fury simmering beneath the surface. The kind of rage that doesn't explode, it calculates. He stepped forward, slow, deliberate. May didn't flinch. "You," Shim's voice dropped to something dangerous, "just destroyed a $500 million deal." "No," May said evenly, too calm for someone about to die. "I just stopped you from signing your death certificate." A ripple of confusion passed through the room. Shim's eyes narrowed. "Explain, now." May tilted her head toward the backup monitor mounted on the wall. "Check the backup drive, the one synced to your laptop. Why would I—" "Because," May's voice cut through like steel, "you were about to sign your empire away." Silence. Then, a flicker. The conference room monitors, all 6 of them, went black. Someone muttered a curse. Shim's head snapped toward the screens. And then, they lit up. Not with the presentation, not with contracts. With a video file. Grainy footage. Date stamp in the corner, 15 years ago. A warehouse, dim lighting, voices shouting off camera. May's voice, barely a whisper now, but it carried. "You might want to watch this." The first frame froze on screen. A man's face, young, terrified, and in the background, a logo May recognized instantly, the same logo from Shim's presentation. The room held its breath. Shim's hand, slowly, curled into a fist. The video started playing. The video played, and the room stopped breathing. First frame, an email, subject line in Russian, timestamp, 3 weeks ago. Someone gasped. The email translated itself on screen thanks to May's pre-programmed subtitles. Thoughtful, right? Phase 1, secure signature. Phase 2, absorb operations within 6 months. An investor leaned forward, squinting. Wait, is that? Next frame. Another email, same sender. Asset seizure to begin immediately post-acquisition. Terminate primary target upon transfer completion. Primary target. Shim's jaw tightened. The tech broker stood up. This can't be real. This is fabricated." "Keep watching," May said quietly. The video shifted. Now a spreadsheet, financial projections, columns labeled with Shim's operation codes, every account, every shell corporation, every revenue stream, and at the bottom, a single line in red. One He Shim, scheduled removal, month 6, post-integration. The room went cold. "Oh my God," someone whispered. Shim didn't move, didn't blink, but his hand slowly unclenched. His breathing changed, deeper, controlled. An investor shot to his feet. "Victor, you said this was clean. You said—" All eyes turned. to the man in the back corner, mid-40s, thick accent, Russian liaison, Viktor Kozlov. His face, pale, guilty. "This is misunderstanding," Viktor said, voice shaking. He backed toward the door. "I don't know where this—" "Stop him," Shim's voice, low, lethal. 2 guards moved instantly, blocking the exit. Viktor froze. "Sit down." Shim's tone didn't rise. Didn't need to. Viktor sat. The video kept playing. More emails. Assassination timelines. Backup plans. Contingencies if Shim resisted. Orders to eliminate key loyalists. It was thorough, detailed, brutal. This wasn't a business deal. This was a hostile takeover disguised as partnership. And Shim had been the mark. One investor stood up, grabbing his coat. "I'm out. I want no part of—" "Nobody leaves." Shim's eyes swept the room. "Until I understand what just happened." Silence. He turned slowly toward May. She stood between the 2 guards, hands still restrained, but her posture unnervingly calm, like she'd planned every second of this. Which she had. "You," Shim's voice barely contained the storm underneath. "You destroyed my deal to show me this? I destroyed your assassination. The deal was already poison." An investor sank into his chair. She's right. If this is real, you would have been dead in 6 months." Shim stared at the screen, then at Viktor, then back at May. For the first time in years, he didn't have control. Information did, and she held it. "Who—" Shim stepped closer, eyes searching her face like he was seeing her for the first time. "Are you—" May met his gaze, steady, unflinching. "Someone who's been watching you for 15 years. His expression shifted. Confusion, suspicion, and something else. Fear. Not of her, but of what she knew. The screen flickered again. New footage. Older. Grainier. Date stamp, December 2011. Shim's eyes locked onto the monitor. A warehouse, South Side. The kind of place deals got made, and people got erased. Concrete floors, dim overhead lights, shadows everywhere. And then, a voice. Young, desperate. "I'm telling you, the numbers don't match. Someone's skimming." The camera angle shifted. A man appeared on screen. Early 20s, black, wearing a courier uniform. He held a tablet, pointing at figures, showing 2 older men in suits. Accountants. May's breath caught. Barely audible, but Shim heard it. He glanced at her, then back at the screen. The young man kept talking. "I deliver packages, I see invoices, and these don't add up. You're moving money that's not in the system." One accountant laughed, nervous. "Kid, you're in over your head. Walk away." "I can't," the young man's voice cracked. "If someone's stealing, Mr. Shim needs to know." Shim's jaw clenched. The video continued. A door opened off camera. Footsteps. Heavy, confident. A new voice entered the frame. Cold, authoritative. Problem? Shim recognized it instantly. Lieutenant Han. His former right hand, promoted 8 years ago, retired 5 years ago. Dead 3 years ago. On screen, Han stepped into view, looked at the young man, then at the accountants. "He knows too much," one accountant muttered. Han sighed. "Discipline it." The young man's eyes went wide. "Wait, I'm just trying to help." "Discipline approved," Han said flatly. "Make it clean." The screen went black. Audio continued. Shouting, scuffling. A gunshot. Silence. The conference room. Frozen. May's voice cut through. Quiet. shaking now. His name was Marcus Shannon. Shim turned slowly. May's eyes glistened, but no tears fell, like she'd cried them all out years ago. He was 23, worked courier routes for your logistics network. He noticed discrepancies, and he thought, her voice cracked, he thought reporting it was the right thing. Shim's expression, stone. But something behind his eyes shifted. Your lieutenant told you it was embezzlement, May continued. You approved discipline, standard protocol. I did, Shim's voice barely a whisper. But you never asked what that meant. Silence. May stepped forward. The guards didn't stop her. You built a machine, Mr. Shim, a perfect empire, efficient, ruthless, and you trusted the people running it. She paused. But you never checked who was using your name to commit murder. Shim's fist clenched. Han was skimming, May said. For years. Marcus found proof, so Han erased him and told you it was justice. The weight of it settled over the room like ash. An investor shifted uncomfortably. Another looked away. Shim stared at the black screen, then at May. You've been planning this. Not a question, a realization. 15 years, May confirmed. Why not just kill me? His voice hollow. Why save me? May's lips curved, sad, bitter. Because I wanted you alive long enough to understand what you built. The room felt smaller suddenly. Shim exhaled slowly, then turned to the investors. Get out. But now. They scrambled. Chairs scraped. Footsteps hurried toward the exit. Victor tried to follow. Not you. Shim didn't even look at him. Guards, hold him. Within 30 seconds, the room emptied. Just Shim and May and 15 years of ghosts between them. The door clicked shut. Silence. Just the hum of the city below and two people who shouldn't be breathing the same air. Shim moved first, slow steps towards May, hands in pockets. Casual. Too casual. You understand what happens now. Not a question, a statement. May didn't move. You're going to kill me. Smart woman. Except, May tilted her head, you can't. Shim stopped, 3 feet away. His eyes narrowed. And why is that? May smiled, small, sad. Because 15 minutes ago, when your laptop exploded, a timer started. Shim's expression didn't change, but his breathing slowed. Every hour, on the hour, I send a signal. Just a simple ping to a server, encrypted, offshore. She paused. Let it sink in. If that signal stops, May's voice dropped, everything I collected over 15 years, every file, every video, every financial record, every name, she met his eyes, gets sent automatically to the FBI, the IRS, Interpol, and about 30 investigative journalists who would love this story. The room temperature dropped. Shim's jaw tightened. You're bluffing. Am I? Silence. May reached into her apron pocket, slowly, pulled out her phone, showed him the screen. A countdown timer. Next ping, 42 minutes. And below it, a list of email addresses, federal domains, news outlets, law enforcement agencies across 3 countries. All queued, all waiting. Shim stared at the phone, then at her. Insurance, May said simply. Kill me and your empire burns. Let me disappear, same result. The only way those files stay buried, she pocketed the phone, is if I stay alive and free. For the first time in years, Shim Won-hee had no move, no counter, no control. He laughed, short, bitter. "You're insane." "No," May's voice steady. "I'm thorough." Shim turned away, ran a hand through his hair, paced toward the window. Chicago sprawled below. His city, his kingdom, built on violence and fear and control. And now, a cleaning woman just checkmated him with a spreadsheet and a timer. "You saved my life tonight," Shim said quietly, staring at the skyline. "Just so you could trap me?" "I saved your life," May corrected, "so you'd have to live with what you built." He turned. "Why?" The word came out raw, genuine. "Why not just let Victor's people kill me? You'd get your revenge. I'd be gone. Justice served." May's eyes hardened. "Because Marcus believed in truth, not revenge." She stepped closer. "He thought your organization had rules, standards. He thought if he just showed you the evidence, you'd fix it." Her voice cracked. "He believed you were better than the system you created." Shim said nothing. "I wanted you alive," May's words barely a whisper now, "so you could see he was wrong." The silence stretched, heavy, suffocating. Shim stared at her, really looked, not at a maid, not at a threat, at a woman who'd turned grief into strategy and patience into power. "What do you want?" he asked finally. May's smile returned, colder this time. "I want you to choose." "Choose what?" "Whether the empire you built," May's eyes burned, "is worth saving." The weight of it settled between them, a moral dilemma with no easy answer. Shim could walk away, rebuild, pretend tonight never happened, or he could look deeper, into the machine he created, and face what it became. 48 hours later. Shim's private office. 3 a.m. The kind of hour where decisions get made and bodies get buried. 6 men sat around his desk, his inner circle, or what was left of it. "You want to audit everything?" One of them, Jung, leaned forward, disbelief written across his face. "Based on what? A maid's conspiracy theory?" Shim's expression didn't change. "Based on the fact that I almost signed my own death warrant." Silence. "Victor's people had access to our accounts," Shim continued, "our routes, our operations. Someone, on the inside, gave them that." Another lieutenant, older, scarred, spoke up. "With respect, this could destabilize everything. If word gets out we're investigating our own, then we do it quietly." Shim's tone, final. "Full financial audit. Every account, every transaction over the past 5 years. Anyone who resists," he paused, "is automatically suspect." Jung stood up. "This is madness. You're tearing apart the organization over—" "Sit down." Jung sat. "Victor Kozlov is currently in a warehouse on the south side, explaining exactly who helped him. He's very motivated." The room shifted. Everyone suddenly very interested in the table. "By morning," Shim's voice dropped, "I'll have names." 72 hours later, 3 arrests, 2 within his own ranks, 1 accountant, 1 logistics coordinator, both on Russian payroll. Hidden accounts exposed, millions siphoned over years. The cancer ran deeper than Shim thought. But here's the thing about cutting out cancer. Sometimes you cut into healthy tissue too, and people notice. "Half the crew thinks you've gone soft," his head of security reported. "The other half thinks you've lost it." Shim stood at his office window. Same view, different perspective. "Let them think." "Boss, some of the old guard are talking, saying this weakens us, that showing vulnerability I showed the moment I trusted blindly." Shim turned. "That ends now." But outside his organization, the Russians weren't sitting still. Day 5. A car bomb. One of Shim's safe houses. Nobody inside, but the message was clear. "We're not done." Shim's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered, heavy accent. You embarrassed, powerful people, Mr. Shim. Victor talk before he died? A pause. Then laughter. Victor was small. We are much bigger. Then come find me. Oh, we will. But first, the voice turned cold, we'll find the woman. Click. Shim's blood ran ice. May. He dialed his head of security. Where is she? The woman? May Shannon? Now. Transitioning between shifts, leaving Blackstone Tower, should be hitting the lobby in... Shim was already moving. Lobby. Ground floor. May pushed through the revolving door. Cold air hit her face. She pulled her coat tighter and froze. 2 men, across the street, watching. Not cops, not curious. Hunters. Her heart rate spiked. Before she could move, a black SUV pulled up, window down. Shim's head of security. Get in, now. May hesitated. Unless you want to meet Victor's friends, the man added. May got in. 48th floor, Shim's private office. Security footage played on the monitor. May exiting the building, the SUV arriving, the 2 men across the street, retreating. Shim watched, rewound, watched again. His assistant stood nearby. She's in a secure location, rotation every 6 hours, full detail. Shim nodded slowly, but didn't look away from the screen. May's face, calm, even in danger, like she'd expected this, prepared for it. She knew this would happen, Shim said quietly. Sir? When she smashed that laptop, she knew it would start a war. Shim's jaw tightened, and she did it anyway. For 15 years, Shim built an empire on control, on fear, on making sure he was untouchable. But tonight, watching footage of a woman he barely knew, a woman who risked everything to save him, he felt something unfamiliar. Responsibility. Not for his empire, for her. And it scared him more than any Russian threat ever could. Day 8. 2:47 a.m. Shim's phone exploded with alerts. System breach. Someone was trying to crack his encrypted servers. He sat up, grabbed his laptop, lines of code scrolling, firewalls under attack. But here's the thing. May had warned him this would happen. So he'd upgraded everything. New protocols, new encryption, new everything. The breach failed. 30 seconds later, his security team traced the origin. Moscow IP address, routed through 6 proxies. Amateur hour. Shim smiled, cold. They're getting sloppy. Day 9. Assassination attempt number 1. Sniper. Rooftop across from his office building. Except Shim wasn't in his office. He'd changed his routine, his schedule, his patterns. The sniper waited 4 hours. Then Shim's people found him. The guy didn't make it to interrogation. Fell off the roof. Tragic. Day 10. They went after May. Indirectly. Her apartment building. Gas leak. Accidental. Except May wasn't there. Still in protective custody. Rotating safe houses every 6 hours. But her neighbors, 3 hospitalized, 1 critical. When May heard, she went silent. The kind of silent that's louder than screaming. Day 11. Shim's war room. Maps, photos, known Russian operatives in Chicago. His security chief pointed to 3 locations. We can hit them tonight. Send a message, they'll... No. Everyone looked up. No, the chief repeated. Shim leaned back, fingers steepled. We don't send messages. We eliminate problems. He pointed to the map. Not the foot soldiers, the handler, the money, the person coordinating. He slid a file across the table. Photo, Russian diplomat, officially cultural attaché, unofficially syndicate liaison. Diplomatic immunity, someone started, doesn't apply, Shim's smile razor thin, if he never makes it to the embassy. 48 hours later, the diplomat vanished. No body, no evidence, no news coverage. Just gone. And with him, the attacks stopped. Surgical, precise, controlled. The old Shim would have burned everything. This Shim, he cut out the cancer and left no trace. Day 14. May walked into Shem's office. No warning, no appointment. Just there. Security tried to stop her. Shim waved them off. She stood across his desk, arms crossed. "You fixed your problem," May said flatly. "We're still breathing. I'd call that progress." "Your problem," May's voice hardened. "The Russians, the infiltration, the threat to your empire." Shim waited. "But what about mine?" Silence. May stepped closer. "My brother is still dead. His name is still buried, and the world still thinks he was just another statistic." Shim's jaw tightened. "You want me to go public, not a question. I want the truth public." May's eyes burned. "I want his name cleared. I want people to know he wasn't a criminal. He was trying to help." "If I admit internal corruption," Shim's voice low, "it shows weakness. It invites challenges. Other organizations will—" "I don't care about your empire," May's voice cracked. For the first time, emotion broke through. "I care that my mother died thinking her son was a thug. I care that his daughter, my niece, grows up believing her father was garbage." Her hands trembled. "You've spent 2 weeks protecting yourself, restructuring, playing chess." She leaned on his desk. "But you still haven't done the one thing that matters." "Which is?" "Admit you were wrong." The words hung in the air, heavy, undeniable. Shim stared at her, then at the city beyond his window. His empire, built on secrets, control, power. Admitting corruption, admitting failure, it went against everything he'd built. But May didn't just save his life, she held a mirror to it, and he couldn't look away anymore. "If I do this," Shim said slowly, "there's no going back." May's expression softened just slightly. "Good." Shim exhaled, turned to his computer, opened a document, and started typing. A statement about internal corruption, about Marcus Shannon, about truth. May watched, waiting. The cursor blinked, and for once, Shim Wan-hee didn't know if he was making the right choice. He just knew it was the honest one. 2 weeks later, Shim held a meeting, not in the boardroom, in a warehouse, Southside, the same one from the video. Intentional. 50 of his top people showed up. Enforcers, accountants, logistics, everyone. They expected orders. They got something else. 15 years ago, Shim's voice echoed, an innocent man died in this building. Silence. His name was Marcus Shannon. He reported corruption, and my lieutenant, someone I trusted, had him killed. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I approved discipline, not murder. Shim's eyes swept the room. But I never checked, never verified. I built a machine and stopped watching who was operating it. He paused, let it land. That ends today. From his jacket, he pulled out a tablet, displayed it on the projector screen behind him. Names, dates, transactions, every corrupt account, every hidden deal, exposed. These people, Shim's voice hard, used my name, my authority, to steal, to murder, to build empires within my empire. He looked at the crowd. If your name is on this list, you have 24 hours to disappear. After that, he didn't finish, didn't need to. 3 men left immediately. For everyone else, Shim continued, new structure, transparent chains of command, digital oversight, every transaction logged, every order verified. Someone in the back spoke up. That's That's not how we operate. It is now. But adapt. Shim's tone dropped. Or leave. Nobody left. Not out of mercy, out of survival. Because they realized a controlled Shim was more dangerous than a blind one. 3 months later, May sat in a small office inside Blackstone Tower. Not cleaning, reviewing compliance audits, digital logs, financial reports, verification protocols. She wasn't an employee, no contract, no salary, no title, but she had access and authority. Shim walked past her office, stopped, knocked on the open door. May looked up. "The logistics report," Shim said. "You flagged 3 accounts. They're moving money off pattern." "Intentional? Or sloppy?" May shrugged. "Either way, needs review." Shim nodded. Respect in his eyes. Not affection, not romance, just gravity. 2 people who'd collided and changed each other's orbit. "Thank you," he said quietly. May almost smiled. "Don't thank me yet. I'm just getting started." Shim turned to leave, then paused. "6 months ago," he said, "you could have destroyed me." "I still can," May replied. He looked back. "I know." Their eyes held, understanding passing between them. Then he left, and May returned to the reports. The machine was still running, but now someone was watching. 6 months later. Same boardroom, 48th floor, city lights glowing beyond the glass, but everything different. The boardroom looked smaller now. Same glass walls, same obsidian table, but different energy. Only 5 people this time. Legitimate investors, clean contracts, transparent terms. No champagne, no Russians, no hidden clauses. Just business. Shim stood at the head of the table, same spot as 6 months ago, but his posture different, less conqueror, more custodian. He signed the final document, physical signature, not digital, old school. The investors shook hands, left satisfied, and then silence. May sat in the corner, not wiping glass, business attire, tailored blazer, hair down, reviewing compliance documentation on her tablet, every transaction verified, every clause checked. She looked up, met Shim's eyes. "Clean deal," she said simply. Shim nodded, walked to the window. Chicago stretched below, his city, but he didn't look at it like he used to, not as territory to dominate, as responsibility to protect. "You could have destroyed me," Shim said quietly. May stood, walked over, stood beside him. Same view, different perspective. "You destroyed yourself," May replied, "the day you stopped checking your shadow." Shim almost smiled. "You know," he said, "most people would have just killed me. Revenge. Simple." Revenge is simple. May's reflection caught in the glass. Truth is harder. They stood in silence, 2 people who shouldn't exist in the same space, but somehow balanced it. "Marcus would have liked this," May said softly. Shim turned. "What?" "Not the empire, not the power," May's voice steady, "just the accountability. He believed systems could work if people chose to make them work." Shim looked back at the skyline. "I built an empire on control," he said, "but I never controlled the one thing that mattered." "Which was?" "Myself." May nodded. "Better late than never." Just 2 people, standing in a room built on power, choosing responsibility instead. Shim turned from the window, walked toward the door, paused. "Thank you, May." She didn't respond immediately, just watched the city lights. Then, quietly, "Don't thank me. Just keep watching your shadow." Shim left. May stayed, looking out at Chicago. The machine was still running. But now, someone was always watching, and that made all the difference. Here's what this story teaches us. Power without oversight becomes corruption. Control without accountability becomes tyranny. And revenge without truth changes nothing. The most dangerous thing you can do isn't building an empire. It's building one and never checking who's using your name. May didn't destroy Shim. She forced him to see himself. And sometimes that's the most powerful weapon of all. Truth. So, if you watched this whole story and didn't hit subscribe, that tells me something. You just watched a woman spend 15 years planning to save the man who destroyed her life. 15 years! And you can't spend 2 seconds clicking a button? May didn't give up. Shim didn't give up rebuilding. But you're giving up on supporting this channel? Nah, that's worse than Victor. And Victor got deleted. Hit subscribe. Drop a comment, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because accountability starts with action. And right now, I'm watching you. Don't make me come find you.